how not to startle her, how to kind of encapsulate her as you moved in for the kiss, because you didn't want to disrupt her delicate sensibilities. But there are things in here that jump out to me that are just so basic. A gentleman knows how to make others feel comfortable. And that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
And being helpful to others. He respects other people. And so there are pieces of that have been clearly left by the wayside. And manners have been used as a way to lubricate for society. I mean, it's all about whoever made the rules being comfortable with how it was conducted. We see it in language now, that you'll have the men are over here and the girls are over there. And why are the girls not women? That the men are not boys. And it's a subtlety in language that continues to linger. All of us here, if there were no men here, someone would say, "Are you women here alone?" As if there was some component missing from our group.
Tell me about how the morning grind came to fruition. I like that one.
The morning grind was a collaborative between Kat Johnson, Cherry, and myself. What we wanted was to wake up in the morning and have a little something to eat, but to do an old school R&B dance. And all the music is, almost all the music is old. There's some Beyonce and a little, Don't Believe It, Just Watch, it's in there. However, the idea was, it's coming from an era when people would turn out the lights in the basement for a party, and that's when the grind would begin. Everyone had a partner, and they danced very close. They might not make much movement around the floor, but much movement up against each other, and that was the grind part. R. Kelly spoke to it in his song "Bump and Grind," and so that was to go back to that time and to do it with our folk. And have that same music, and you're gonna have a party, gotta have something to eat, so we have a little food, and we dance to R&B.
Why is feeding people so important?
What now?
Why is feeding people important?
It is a very Southern thing to feed. It is. If you go to someone's house in the South, when you come in, they're going to offer you something to drink or ask you if you'd like a bite of something. And if you say no, you're probably going to get asked 3 or 4 times. It's better just to say, sure, I'll have a bottle of water. Then they feel that they've taken care of you as a guest. But it comes from really a deep agricultural tradition of, by the time you got someplace else, there was no place to stop. And the expectation was that you would not only come, but you would share a meal with them while you were there. And that you would be offered, strangers would get offered something to eat. And in cold climates, it was a place of shelter because it meant life and death. If you didn't have some place to go. Real Southern. That's what our mama and them used to do. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta. Kat's from the old country, New York. And Cherry's from Florida, Daytona Beach. But we share those ideas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the things in here are like, yeah, that seems kind of. Some of them are
can we do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is great. Some of them are like, mostly the lady ones that are like
really restricted.
Yeah, and about like being calm and like not aggressive because it's like too harsh. I'm like, okay.
Yes, when a woman is, when a man is aggressive, he's a leader.
Right.
When a woman is aggressive, she's a shrew.
Right.
Or something worse. But she's hysterical in some way.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of hysterical came from the uterus, the hysteria caused by female organs, that there was something wrong with us from inception.
Yeah, I see most of the like the problems with the etiquette books in the ones about ladies. Gentlemen, yeah, they're fine. I feel like everyone, yeah, most of them are fine.
And some of it was driven by the way women, as they began to attain any status, were dressing. If you're in a whalebone corset, you can't breathe. If you're trying to get that 22-inch waist, if suddenly you have to breathe rapidly, you're going to faint because you can't get the air. And so women were considered delicate, while black women were in the fields picking cotton. You know, have your baby out there and then get your bag and go back to work. That it was that pedestal was, the men determined whether it was a chain attached to it or not, and there always was. Ours were real; you could see them, and women were shackled by these rules that made them acceptable within male society. And it was again, as for black and brown people, it was about knowing your place, because doing anything that upset that status quo could result in violence. I had to, the one thing, I'm still coming out about it, and it's still hard to do. I was a debutante.
Me too.
Were you?
I was.
My mother was.
My mother, I'm sure she crept in old age and cunning. She got me at just the right moment, because I was not that kind of girl. And she said, you know, well, I want you to be a debutante this year. And while I was taking that breath and rolling my eyes, she looked at me and she said, it will not kill you to do this. That mother guilt, she got me. She got me in and it almost killed me. I still, what I was, but when I tell gay men that, they say, oh, did you wear the elbow length gloves? You know. And I had to do that, the waltz, the quintessence of excellence, you know, all that stuff, all this drama about nothing. And I did it. It was horrible. But you know, and I know that there are girls that would have loved to do that. She just had the wrong daughter. I was not that girl. I was the one I'd ride my bike with the boys. You know, with my arrows, with my, you know, bow slung across my shoulder. I was not that girl.
What would a modern day coming of age thing be like? I think that those moments are important. I mean, how they happen, meh. But you know, those this is a moment. What would that look like in this
For queer folk.
Yeah.
I think for queer folk, first for some women, to go back to Native culture where the whole community celebrated that first menstrual period, that power where the universe has spoken and said, you are not child. You have moved into adulthood, that you are capable of conception now. And it's a huge moment, and it always was Native culture. Now it's greeted with a curse. Oh, well, baby, I told you. It was coming, that there would be the impromptu party of the aunts and the nieces and grandmas and all of the women folk. The men folk would be okay to come, but that would be a celebration of women being welcomed into a community to which we all belonged at one point, or wanted to, or see ourselves as connected to that. And the other part of that coming out celebration, that there would be something that was food, music, again, around, and I'm thinking of a date for me connected to the Harlem Renaissance. The idea that the modern day gay rights movement began in Stonewall is incorrect. They were queer as fuck in the Harlem Renaissance. You know, Bessie Smith wrote a song. She had these girlfriends wrote a song. Prove it on me. You know, I wrote a poem about she and Biggie dressed in identical three-piece suits with gold wash singing, I love it when you call me Big Pop. Because but it was so, and our community has accepted queerness in a different way. I'm not saying that they're not problems. I'm saying that there were people that were doing their thing and traveling on, and other people saying, you know, which could be a dissertation in our community. So something like that. If there was a way, I would love to see it as a part of high school, that there would be, say at the prom, a coming out post where you took pictures for your coming out, or something that happened at gay prides around the country, where there was a photo booth for people who were joining the community, saying I'm here, and that a welcome, some type of welcome, and I'm seeing it from a black perspective of having a party or there's something going on, and it maybe it would be in June, around Juneteenth every year for black folk, that this is when we celebrate our freedoms, not when we got it. It's when the people in Texas found out 2 years after it happened. Oh, we forgot to tell y'all. Yeah, y'all free now. My bad, yeah. So it would be like that if you wanted to, say an adult organization that was having one, come out and party with us and come out. Something along that line. That would be a regular, so you could think about it while you're there in 10th grade saying, I'm going to go.
And that's the joke, right?
You want to talk about your paper that you wrote about Bessie Smith?
Oh.
And blues women?
So, it was a half-baked idea, but I was trying to talk about, so I'm in grad school, so it's going to have to be very academic. Like utopian theory, as something that happens in urban theory spaces, or geography conversations, political philosophy, but how there should be room to talk about utopia within, I'm talking about on the body. What does utopia feel like on the body?
Yes.
And I was looking at Bessie Smith. I wanted to look at Alberta Hunter and Ma Rainey. Yeah, and there was one other person that I couldn't because I was Carlin's person.
Gladys Bentley.
That's
my person.
Well,
that's my person.
Gladys Bentley was sharp.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, and how those were glimpses of utopia, or what we could be. Not that it's perfect, but that they're figuring out other ways to navigate the current reality and the inbreaking of heaven on earth, if you will.
I like that because there's a way in which they were, and Bentley is perfect. She was moving in a world in which women were not allowed to wear pants, much less those badass suits she wore. So, and there's something about how this happened in the community without it being something that caused her death, or even for her to be beat. There's something there.
Yeah, and even when they were Prove It On Me, but then they had songs that were my man. So it was this fluidity, whether it performed or not. It was
the recognition that there's
be
more than just the way this is.
Yeah, and I don't have to just like women. I can like everyone.
Yeah,
and sing about it in a very bluesy way, which is.
Yes, and it's recorded and it's out there. I think if you try to do that now, there would be pushback against that when we don't need to do it because it's misleading and it's harming our children. But there was something, let's say, when my experience has been from the old school, when black folk didn't get along with people in the community, they ignored them. They didn't go burn the house down. And they knew a man, and I was working on a ballot initiative against gay marriage in Louisville, in Kentucky. And he was really frustrated one day. He was fabulous. And one day he just threw his hand on his hip and said, everybody knows somebody got an uncle named Peaches. And there was something that resonated around that black folk in the South are not going to say, what did he say? What does he mean? That it was instantly translatable to, because it has been the stuff of our communities, not where queer folk were, just cut your yard. That's those men over there, just rock the chair a little harder. But I'm gonna pray for them, see if I can pray them up out of it. But that it was known, but it wasn't. We weren't. But where do we go when you discard us? And that may have had a lot to do with it. Black folk kicked out of the community are lost.
Yeah.
So that, and I don't know if that played into it, but we learned to live with our differences and ignore differences that it's a different kind of culture that we've had around that, but it's been clued in around music and around food.
Yeah, it's like a question of like what really matters.
Yeah.
It's not. Really. I mean, it's not.
Then you're gonna get twisted up in a knot about this.
We have so many other things to worry about than what you like to do.
Yeah, well, and
You know?
it's been one of the things that has aggravated me for a long time because I am prosecuted, found guilty with no trial of something I do with my clothes off. But when I'm dressed and out in the street, you want to. What happened to being in the act of committing a crime, or proof that there was a crime, but just by this haircut, no makeup, no purse, all of those things, refusing to get rid of his hair, that it makes people not just uncomfortable, it makes them angry. And that's the rough part. That's what we're missing from this. How to, participate in society without trying to be somebody else's boss.
I have a question. Because you touched that book. If there were like some rules of etiquette for queer folk, can you give me like one or two?
Two that align. One is if you don't presume gender. Don't presume gender identity. And the other one is to give people some space if they misgender it. You know how when we grow up, we come out, we want everybody to accept us. Well, how long have we been sitting on it, stewing about it, thinking about it, crying about it, praying that it would change? We've been through all those things and finally came to acceptance. But when I tell you, I want your immediate acceptance, and I will accept nothing less from you. It takes, some people it's instantaneous, but some people need time. It's not. So in that same way around gender, if I use she pronouns with you and you say they and them, I prefer that you just tell me rather than say you are so insensitive to me, because it's not that. It's and there's something about making that presumption that I'm trying to hurt you, and I know there are people trying to hurt you. I just happen not to be one of them, and I'm sorry that I misgendered you.
Yeah, seems to be like a thing about grace.
Grace, you hit right on it.
Yeah,
That's it.
giving people grace.
Yes, and in queerness, to know that we know better than anybody. Queer folk know gender is a lot more fluid than the larger community has any clue. They have no idea the variations of how we are in gender and sexual orientation. The words are insufficient. I remember the first time I heard something about, it might have been Cherokee culture, I'm not sure, but they talked about them having 6 genders. And I don't remember what else they said, because I was going, well, you got male and female. Okay, well, how do you get 4 more out? And my mind was trying to come up, because I needed the box, the numbers, and they didn't give them to me. They just said 6 genders, and my head spun around. So there is a way in which we understand as queer folk that it goes all kind of ways. At one time, we were all supposed to be butch or femme. You were lesbian or gay, there was nothing else. Then there were people who were bisexual, much to the chagrin and the groaning of gay and lesbian. Then there were, before then, when there were gay and lesbian people, then gay drag queens were dishing dirt with other folk. Oh, he keeps saying he's an RG, a real girl. I don't know he needs to get with it. We're just men wearing dresses and putting on, but that wasn't true. There's trans. Now we have people who at one point, butch and film was discarded. We're done with that. We're now kind of androgynous. And it was at a creating change. They canceled it. They weren't having the butch and film caucus that they had every year. They weren't having it because we were yeah. Someone had decided that butch and film was defunct. There was a big butch outing in the lobby of the hotel. There was a film caucus somewhere else, and the lobby was ripping. Butch and film folk. I never saw so many amazing shoes and tights. It was, I loved every second of it. But that there's not anybody in charge of us that gets to tell us how that's going to play out. And now, that fluidity, that idea, mainstream America has no friggin' idea. And as children are children are coming out. I've got high school students as Facebook friends, and it scares me because we were always charged as pedophiles. But I ask, are you going to be more afraid of them, or don't you wish you had somebody when you were 15 that you knew was queer? So yes, we friends. Y'all got a problem with it? Y'all will be all right. Get over it. Because you need somebody to talk to. You want to talk to somebody. So that piece of it, we don't know. When you have people now saying they are non-gendered or genderless or ungendered, I don't know what people who don't identify with the gender call themselves. But and if I ask you about being non-gendered, I would appreciate if you didn't leave teeth marks on me. Just tell me how, so I'll then know how to address you, because I don't know. And it doesn't mean that all of those things won't exist. And that we know that. The medical community wanted to call us sexual orientation all homosexuals. We got rid of that last year. That's why we got LGBT. We said no. But also the trans community had to step to the AMA. We found it, you know how, the things that I've done that have embarrassed me, but when I learned, I'm on the board of the task force. We've always been a convener. I was then. And so we made room for trans people. This was something new. We really did. And trans people wanted to be in the name of the 93 March. And the resounding response from the other community, our larger community, was hell no, it's not happening. And it didn't. Lesbian, gay, and bi. Bi wouldn't have been there if it was bisexual. Okay, but let me not digress. When oh God, another thought went away. When we got to looking at names and people who were trans, we said, well, as a convener, we would create a space and put the markers in the water and the stuff, and then you come do your thing. And so we did that. And we were feeling really good about that. You know, we thought we might learn a few things. But we found out first, we didn't know shit. It was the first time I ever heard the word intersex. And some of the fruit, I would like to think, of that convening and having trans people talking to each other was that they stepped to the AMA and said, stop butchering children. Stop, because so many surgeries had been set. You're working with two genders, so when you were born, they would fix you and then tell your parents they had fixed you, or tell your parents you need fixing and then do it, and then give you, you know, crazy stuff. But here was the community that had been hurt, that had gained its voice and strength and its feet to go say, stop, no more. So there's stuff we don't know, and that openness to somebody else's variation or how they feel, I think is very important. It's critical. I talked too much.
No, this is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.